We lock our doors at night, stick to familiar routines, and assume that quiet neighborhoods provide a baseline of security. When we hear an unusual noise, our immediate response is to normalize it, blaming the wind or a settling house to preserve our sense of comfort. Geographically, our safety exists in three vulnerability zones: the wild, the threshold, and the inner sanctum, with you at the center. But footage reveals these boundaries are permeable. Threats slice through these rings, moving from the outside directly into our private spaces. Real-world threats rely on this permeability, crossing invisible lines while we are looking the other way. Our sense of safety can dissolve the moment a camera captures the physical reality our brains have been trying to ignore. The outermost zone is the wild. These are public spaces, like parks or trails, where the environment is entirely uncontrolled and open to anyone. A hiker exploring a heavily wooded area near her new home found a secluded, swampy clearing. Despite having walked these paths many times, a persistent, intuitive unease made her tense up at every sound in the brush. When she reached the public restrooms at the edge of the park, a man in a black hoodie and purple hat approached her with unearned confidence. He eventually asked if she would use her small fingers to help him pop the stuck hood of his car. She navigated the interaction through social performance, choosing a polite, awkward dismissal over a direct confrontation. She lied about waiting for a friend and eventually flagged down a passing couple to help her get distance from him. Hours later, she reviewed a short video diary she had recorded back at the swamp clearing. Standing in the tree line just over her shoulder was the man in the purple hat. He had been tracking her from the shadows long before he ever approached her. The wilderness zone relies on isolation. In these spaces, raw human intuition is the only effective defense against an active, patient predator. Moving inward, we reach the threshold. This is the psychological moat of personal property: yards, driveways, and the immediate views through our windows. While house-sitting in a quiet neighborhood, a woman noticed a figure dressed in black standing perfectly still under a streetlight across the street. It was 1 a.m., and the person was simply staring in the direction of the house. She immediately began searching for an excuse, assuming it was a neighbor looking at the stars, or perhaps a local teenager playing a prank. Looking for objective proof to show the homeowner, she eventually stepped outside and announced she was recording the figure on her phone. The stranger wordlessly and violently sprints directly at the camera, chasing the woman back into the house. After she locked the door, the man tested the handle and calmly wished her a good night through the wood. Perimeter breaches are effective because they prove our geographical moat only functions if the person on the other side decides to obey the social contract. Finally, we cross into the inner sanctum. This is the deep interior of the home where we assume total, unassailable privacy. This space can be compromised by frogging, the act of a stranger living undetected inside an occupied home. One couple began waking up to crashing noises and finding items, like a favorite coffee mug, missing from the kitchen. They became convinced the activity was paranormal, terrified that a spirit was moving furniture in their basement. We often reach for supernatural explanations because a ghost is a familiar cultural concept. Acknowledging the physical reality of a lethal intruder inside our sanctuary is much more difficult to process. A skeptical friend offered to search the basement to disprove the haunting. He recorded a selfie video among the storage boxes to mock the idea of ghosts. In the corner of the frame, a sickly, real man sits on a makeshift bed among the boxes, clutching the missing coffee mug. The deepest sanctuary had been breached silently from within. The predator in the woods, the stalker at the perimeter, and the squatter in the basement all exploited a single weakness: our refusal to see them. The human brain has a desperate need to recategorize danger into something manageable, like a broken car, a prank, or a ghost. Our intuition senses a threat, while our brain invents comfort. The camera lens is often the only thing that captures the objective truth. Real-world threats are bold enough to violate every boundary we set, tracking us from public trails to the interior of our homes. To maintain real security, we have to stop rationalizing away our survival instincts. The boundaries we rely on are only as strong as our willingness to admit when they